Hey YouTube, this is Major Sporto. I'm coming back this year with another series of videos on how to rework the Mustang 5-liter EFI harness for universal standalone operation. I have to say I've gotten quite a lot of emails and a lot of requests and on certain things about my videos, about what I'm doing, and I figured I'd try and answer these questions. If I haven't answered you already, I'll try and answer some in the videos. So I thank you for all the unexpected attention. I'm happy to try and help with answers if you have questions that are relevant. And remember, my expertise is really just with this setup. I don't know much about the Explorers or the Thunderbirds or the later Mustangs and their EFI wiring. I'm just really kind of the guy with this, with the Mustang 86, either the speed density or the mass air computer harnesses. Okay, so let's just go over a few things, and this is kind of in relation to what I was saying about the questions that were being asked. I wanted to go over one. This is a harness. This is a complete harness. This was pulled from a Mustang, and everything that I use in order to do them. A couple things that I think you should understand how we work this is the first thing we use is a good solder station with a heat. It's got a heat gun. This is for the heat shrink tubing, which I have here. Okay, I have a bunch of this. You can get this. You can get this all over the place. I got this on eBay. It was about 80 bucks. Wasn't a whole lot of money. It's worked perfectly for the last several years, so I'm not really. I didn't spend a lot of money on a really good one, but I know there's people that have much more expensive ones. This is a Blue Point. I got this in like 1985. So, but this is a multimeter with a continuity checker. So what I do is I can check for connections between wires with this with a sound, which is very handy. And then this is my breakout box. Here's the specs. I got this on eBay as well. It's for the connection. It connects directly to the 60-pin connector, and it allows me to use the numbers here, as you can see, to map to the wires in the harness. And I can again check for continuity. So it's a very handy tool for making sure my wires are soldered correctly, and of course a wire stripper cutter, to make sure my wires are connected correctly and everything is where it should be. Okay, so this is also the harness I'm going to use. This is, like I said, this is untouched. I did release a video a few weeks ago with this harness. I'm ready to go. I'm still awaiting some parts on it, but note there's 3 pieces to a harness, and this is critical. This is a 3-piece harness. The first part is, of course, the main harness, which you recognize here as having the 60-pin connector. Okay, this runs through the firewall with this large grommet, as you see here. All right, and then this is outside the firewall. I have 2 sides. If you can picture this in the car. One side comes down, runs roughly down into the engine area, because here's my mass air. Where is it? There it is. There's my mass air connection, and a few others that are relevant to what I'm working on. Okay, there's a few here. Now we're going to go over what all these are. I'm going to try and explain it as much detail as I can. I keep getting asked questions. What do I cut? What do I cut? Pay attention. I'll tell you what to cut. We'll thin this down, and we'll get it to the point where it's just what you need to be operational and nothing more. Okay, but this is the rest of this large trunk. This is the main harness. This goes to here, which splits off. These connectors are connect to the engine harness. Okay, you'll hear these referred to as the salt and pepper shakers. I may have mentioned that in my videos prior, a few from last year. But these, we remove these typically to make it a cleaner installation. There's some wires in here we can eliminate as well. Okay, and then this harness here is the engine harness, and this has your injector connectors. And if you kind of visualize it, you can see it kind of goes down each rail. If this is the back of the engine, it goes down the passenger side, and then this goes down the driver's side. And there's some connections on here as well that aren't relatively related to the computer, but like this one is for the oil pressure sender, which usually is located down in the front driver's side of the 302. Okay, and then finally, this is more of the main harness, as you can see by the heavy trunk. There's connectors here. We'll go over what all these connectors are in this video. There's my test connector. All right, here's this one here, this little part of the main one. This is the long one. This goes to the distributor, okay? And there's my spout connector, all right? And then finally, I have the last harness, and this is the one, and I mentioned this in that prior video, this is the one that everybody seems to struggle with. I get a lot of questions about it. This is your O2 sensor harness. A lot of times, this doesn't come out of the car very easily, just to the nature of where this harness is located. Okay, you can tell the O2 harness by the fact it has the O2 connectors, the O2 sensor connectors. Now, this is a rarity for me even. I usually don't get these when I get these harness cords. I usually make these myself. Okay, I do remove this connector where it connects up to the engine or to the main harness back here. Where are we at? It connects up to the main harness. Well, whatever. I'll find that spot. But through this connector is quirky because this connector also has the connection for the neutral safety switch in it if it's an automatic, or it has a kind of a loop back connection if it's a manual, and that's for that error 67 issue that comes up if you don't do that right in the rewire. Okay, so my goal is to essentially clean this harness up, strip off all the plastic, and get everything where we can start working on it. And we're going to eliminate the emissions, the AC, the EGR, the salt and pepper shakers. I'm probably going to leave the fuel pump harness, or excuse me, the fuel pump relay alone, and I might go with a three relay box for the added circuits instead of 4 relays. I know the map, like the diagram online, likes to use the 4 relay circuits. I think I'm just going to go with 3 relays and leave the fuel, the default or the OEM fuel pump relay harness alone. Also, I don't have with this, which I'd like to get, is either an oil pressure safety switch or an impact safety switch to the fuel pumps. We have to have that. It just makes sense. You don't want to have an accident, burst a fuel line, and have an electric pump pumping fuel all over everything. So we tend to want to think safety on this. It doesn't really impact anything other than safety. And I can talk about suggestions with those either. Also, this harness will be for sale when it's done, and I'll put it up on eBay or something. We can bid on it, or if somebody wants it, they can let me know. But it's these things new are over $600, $700, and I'm going to try and make it as close to new as possible. Okay, so I'll see you online. Thanks.